Power to the truth. This is Margo. This is Sunday, March the 10th, 2019, and it's 5:35 p.m. Pacific Time, United States of America. I'm getting a little bit of a late start today. I'm just all off kilter with this daylight savings time and everything. It takes me about a week to kind of get everything adjusted. We don't have new methane data from CAMS, so remember I showed you the sulfur dioxide yesterday and this release down here in the South Indian Ocean. This is actually on the South Indian Ridge, and like here's Africa, South Africa, here's Madagascar, and then here was this release. And I remember I said this could be an indicator of geologic activity that could be coming. Well, down here in exactly the same place, there have been 2 earthquakes right on that red line, just pretty much exactly where I was seeing the red come out. There was a 5.4 magnitude that happened this morning at 6:18 a.m. and then a 4.8 magnitude that happened at 11:34 a.m. So I think that's a pretty good indicator. When we see a large release like that, then we're going to see something happen. It's either going to be an earthquake, if there's not a volcano going off, and it can be a sign of a volcano erupting, but if it's not volcanic, then it's usually an earthquake. And usually we'll see a large release when the volcano starts exploding or releasing. And as you can see, we've got a whole ton of earthquakes today. We've got 215 worldwide, all magnitudes in the last 24 hours. But before I get into that, I want to go back and we're going to do do a little lesson here. I did some more research. So, and what prompted me to do that was the sulfur dioxide from today, and well, we can see it still releasing down here in that the South Indian Ridge, and so that's that's from the earthquakes. But look up here in Russia, in Kamchatka, and I pulled up the Pacific view, and so we can see the whole ring of fire here. It's really, this is probably one of the best views on CAMS, because if you're wanting to match up sulfur dioxide with earthquake activity from the ring of fire, this is probably one of the best views. And I have it on total column because the sulfur dioxide seems to come up really fast, and then it stays in, it's pretty heavy, and so it hangs around a while, long enough for us to get a good reading. So what we see, well, we're seeing release from Hawaii still, that's ongoing. We're still seeing release down here in Mexico at Popocatépetl. We're still seeing some release from southern Alaska, and some of this, with it being total column, it's streaming. It's not just from the release area, but it's streaming up through the total column and of the atmosphere. And so I as soon as I saw this, I'm like, okay, was there an earthquake? And there's not an earthquake. And so then I went to volcanoes. So now we're going to do a little lesson here. I went to volcanoes of Russia, and they have 11 listed throughout Russia, but a whole bunch of them are down here in Kamchatka. And then Volcano News has all the latest of what's going on, and lo and behold, Shiveluch volcano has a volcanic ash advisory because it's exploding. So if you click here, then it takes you to that page, and Shiveluch is located kind of up high on this Kamchatka Peninsula, and it says, here's the advisory. There was an eruption at 5:49 Zulu time on March the 9th, and to 34,000 feet, or 10,400 meters. So that's really high. That's high up in the atmosphere. It says, explosive activity continues. Volcanic Ash Advisory Center, Anchorage, warned about a volcanic ash plume that rose up to an estimated 34,000 feet, or 10,400 meters altitude, or flight level 340, and is moving at 5 knots in southeast direction. The full report is as follows. And so here's the report if you want to read it. So I'll leave the links below. And, you know, this is all, that's like Greek to me. You know, I just read the summary because that tells me what I need to know, and because I don't understand any of this. So, but over on the side, it does have it, a shorthand version, and here's the volcano, and it's quite tall. It's 10,771 feet tall. And in fact, that's the same, almost the same height as Mount Rose that I've shown you pictures of. And that equates to 3,283 meters. It's called Kamchatka. Here's the coordinates. Current status, it's erupting. They have a webcam. They have reports. They have volcano videos. They have the different years that it's erupted, and since 1999 until the present, it's been erupting. It's ongoing. Typical eruption style, highly explosive, construction of lava domes and large pyroclastic flows caused by dome collapse. One of Kamchatka's largest and most active volcanoes. And last earthquakes nearby. Let's go look at that. Earthquakes in the last 7 days. They don't show any. Well, I don't know why, but I guess because they're further out than I mean, we haven't had any right there at that place. So, also, if you want to know more about Shiveluch, here's Wikipedia. It's the northernmost active volcano in Kamchatka Krai, Russia. It and Kerimsky are Kamchatka's largest and most active and most continuous erupting volcanoes. And here's what it looked like from space in 2007. It began forming about 60,000 to 70,000 years ago, and it has had at least 60 large eruptions during the Holocene. During this era, the most intense period of volcanism, including frequent large and moderate eruptions, occurred around 6500 to 6400 BC, 2250 to 2000 BC, and 50 to 650 AD. This coincides with the peak of activity in other Kamchatka volcanoes. The current active period started around 900 BC. Since then, the large and moderate eruptions had been following each other at 50 to 400 year-long intervals. So this is it just keeps going. Catastrophic eruptions took place in 1854 and 1956 when a large part of the lava dome collapsed and created a devastating debris avalanche. The most recent eruption of Young Chevaluche started on August the 15th, 1999 and continues as of 2018. I guess that's when this was written. It's still going. On February 27, 2015, Chevaluche erupted, shooting ash into the atmosphere about 30,000 feet, crossing the Bering Sea and into Alaska. Well, we're seeing it at the same height now. So I've located it on Google Earth, and actually I just typed in Russian volcanoes over here, and it's got them all listed down here on this peninsula, so you can just zoom right in to whichever one you want to look at. And Chevaluche is this one right up at the top. It's right up here. And it's really beautiful, I think. Uh-oh, what'd I do? I just think it's beautiful, actually. It's just majestic, and I mean, I wouldn't want to be there when it's blowing up, but you know, there's snow up there, but it's quite, I would think it's just would be really majestic to see off in the distance. So so we'll let that go down. So, and I looked on NASA Worldview. I really couldn't see anything because it's pretty cloudy up there right now. So I will leave links below to that. Oh, here it is going off. Or what I hit? Something happened. Anyway, where was I? So we don't have any earthquakes up there today. We might have one in the next few days. We have had some here in the last 7 days. If we go to 7 days, all magnitudes, we've had 2, but you know, we see them up here all the time, because this is where at the edge of this North American plate and the Pacific plate. This area is still part of the North American plate, and so we had a 4.4 at Yelazovo, Russia, on the 7th at 7:47 p.m. and that's a volcano. There's one there. Yelazovo was a volcano. So is that connected? I don't know. And then we had one out here in the ocean of 4.7 on the 6th. So I expect to see something here in the next few days. So there's that. And also, I've got spaceweather.com pulled up, and we've got some interesting things going on here. So I'm just gonna leave this as a backdrop. So on spaceweather.com, we have a chance of storms, meaning solar storms, on Monday. NOAA forecasts say there is a 55% chance of G1 class geomagnetic storms on March 11th, when Earth has a close encounter with two coronal mass ejections, or CMEs. The solar storm clouds left the Sun on March the 8th, when sunspot AR 2734 produced a C1 class solar flare. Neither CME is heading directly for Earth, but a double glancing blow could produce beautiful Arctic auroras. Well, it can also produce earthquakes. And if you want to see the sunspot that created that, it's right here. 2734. It's the only one that's showing right now. And it's pretty small, but it exploded or erupted and sent out two CMEs. And it says another explosion in sunspot AR 2734. For such a small sunspot, AR 2734 is surprisingly active. On March the 10th, the sunspot's magnetic field became unstable and erupted for the second time in as many days. NASA's Solar Dynamics Observatory caught the sunspot hurling a dark filament of magnetism into space. Play the video and keep an eye on the circled material. So let's play this video. It's really cool. Now watch. Watch here. See? Let's do it again. Watch. And then here's the filament that's coming out, and it's not gonna be head on. If it were head on, we'd have a lot of activities, but that was quite a blast. So that's what what a CME, the CME looks like after the after the solar flare. NOAA, hold on. Okay, I'm trying not to lose my voice. NOAA analysts have examined the trajectory of the filament and surrounding ejecta. They say it is unlikely to hit Earth. Nevertheless, stormy space weather is likely on March 11th to 13th. As Earth passes close to coronal mass ejections, or CMEs, ejected from sunspot AR 2734 on March the 8th. What's next? AR 2734 is now turning away from Earth, so future eruptions, if any, will probably not be geo-effective. Solar minimum is set to resume in the week ahead. So we're in solar minimum, meaning there are not many sunspots, but when there are, watch out. And we're here is a picture of the corona. That's the covering of the sun. That's the sun's atmosphere. And there's a big hole. This dark area is a big hole, and when that comes Earth facing, we'll get solar radiation from the sun. Because it, the corona's not there to keep the solar radiation in. Here's that AR 2734 that we just saw. So I just love looking at the sun. I think it's beautiful. Here's another little eruption of some kind. And I mean, I've just sat and meditated on these things because I just think this is it's just beautiful to look at. So, if you wonder why we're having all this earthquake activity, this could be one reason. So, I'm going to close those out. And now I have an article to share. This is from Red Deer News, rdnewsnow.com. Remember I showed an earthquake up in Canada from a few days ago? It was from, I think it was from March the 4th, and I reported on it on March the 7th. And that earthquake, it was a 4.6, and it was right here outside of Red Deer. It was not reported by USGS. And so since then, they had another earthquake this morning, and it was picked up on USGS. So this is from March the 10th at 10:18 a.m. It was updated at 12:15 p.m. There was another one. It was a little bit further to the west at Rocky Mountain House. Yeah. And this is in the foothills of the Rocky Mountains. It's really active there. So the Rocky Mountains go up through the United States and up through Canada. A second earthquake in 7 days has struck the central Alberta region, this time near Rocky Mountain House. Earthquakes Canada tweeted the following on Sunday morning. Earthquake magnitude 4.3 on March the 10th at 4 o'clock Mountain Daylight Time. And 32 kilometers northwest of Rocky Mountain House, Alberta. While there have been many reports of feeling shaking, there have been none of power outages or damages, according to Dr. Hone Cowell, a research scientist with the Geological Survey of Canada. Certainly for Alberta, 2 magnitude larger than 4 occurring within a week is considered to be unusual, but we have to realize that the western part of Alberta is very close to the Rocky Mountains, which has historically had seismic activities, says Cowell. Although I would consider 2 in a week relatively unusual, I don't think it should be characterized as impossible. Cowell adds that the Alberta Energy Regulator has been contacted regarding any industrial activity in the area around the epicenter, but the preliminary answer from the ARE, he says, is that there isn't much happening near there. However, he did note that a depth of 10 kilometers is considered shallow by industry standards. On Tuesday, the AER ordered Vesta Energy Limited to suspend fracking operations as a well site near Monday's quake hit close to Red Deer. The investigation is still ongoing into whether that earthquake was naturally occurring or in fact caused by fracking. So you can read it. That's just saying they don't think it was, etc., etc. This one person said, "It scared me so bad I jumped out of bed and ran to look outside to see if there was someone in our farmyard. I couldn't see anybody. I walked around the house a little bit and nothing looked abnormal. My dog didn't even move." I went back to bed and it took me a few minutes, and then I thought it was probably an earthquake. I wasn't sure if I'd been imagining things. So I will leave the link for that story below. And now we're going to get right into our earthquake report, because we've got a lot here. So we're still showing 215 on the map worldwide. We're going to start down here in the South Pacific. Down here in the Tonga and Fiji region, there have been 4 very large, very deep earthquakes since yesterday. First of all, there was this 6.2 that happened at 1:12 this morning, and this is Pacific time. I have it set to my local time. 567 kilometers deep. Now, all of these are going to be deep. And whenever you see deep earthquakes like this and large earthquakes, it's going to cause the tectonic plates to move around the planet. And when I was watching a bunch of these come in this morning, it was like just like ringing off like a pinball, going here, going there, going there. And it was like every few minutes or a few seconds, they're large, a lot of them today. So the next one came in 4.8 at the same place at 1:23 in the morning, so that was about 11 minutes after the first one. And then a 4.5 near Havalu, Tonga at 8:21 this morning. This one was 215 kilometers deep. And a 4.9 near Nidoy Island, Fiji at 12:35 this afternoon that was 398 kilometers deep. And the second one at near Mombasa, Fiji was 570 kilometers deep. So all that happened in less than a 12-hour period. So coming on around at Papua New Guinea, there was a 6.1 near Kulamadu, Papua New Guinea at 5:48 this morning. Now, when they say 10 kilometers deep, a lot of times I think that that's just the default for I read somewhere that that's the default that USGS puts up if they don't know how deep it was or they don't want to say. So if it's, I just got to where there were so many that were 10 kilometers deep, I thought this is ridiculous. They can't all be 10 kilometers deep. And then I read that somewhere, and so I stopped saying it if it said 10 kilometers deep. Then there was a 4.9 at the same place at 8:54 this morning. And then there was a 5.0 right up here off the coast of Papua New Guinea, Madang, Papua New Guinea at 10:21 this morning. This one was 41 kilometers deep. Coming on around was a 4.6 near Salmlaki, Indonesia, last night at 7:18 p.m., 145 kilometers deep. Next was a 5.0 near Tambakreho, Indonesia at 2:21 this morning, 66 kilometers deep. Then there was one to in the South Indian Ocean, a 5.5 at 12:53 this morning. Now that was not the ones that we saw down here on this South Indian Ridge. So we've had 3 in the Indian Ocean today. This one up here, and they call it in the South Indian Ocean, but the Indian Ocean goes all the way down here too. And then these 2 down here that I already showed you. The big one was the 5.4 at 6:18, and then a 4.8 at 11:34. Then we had another one in the Red Sea again. We've had several here in the last few days. This one came in at 5:32 this morning, right on the red line. Next, coming around, here was a 4.3 near Chichishima, Japan at 2:44 this morning. This one was deep, 348 kilometers deep. Then up here, off the east coast of Japan, right near this red line, we've had 4 large earthquakes. There was a 5.8 that happened at 10:10 this morning, 14 kilometers deep. 5.1 near Iwaki at 10:24. So that was 14 minutes after the first one. 4.7 in the same area at 10:39. So that was 15 minutes later, and a 5.0 at 11:43. So a little over an hour later. All of these say 10 kilometers deep except for this one that's 14.7. So that's the one I believe. So then coming on up here, a 5.1 near Kurilsk, Russia at 2:52 this morning, 39 kilometers deep. Look at all these 5s and over. I mean, this is huge. This is significant. And so anyway, then South America got hit. 4.5 near Coquimbo, Chile at 8:09 last night. 4.5 near Oropampa, Peru at 8:41 last night. 107 kilometers deep. 4.3 near Atocha, Bolivia at 4:55 this morning, 228 kilometers deep. And a 4.8 near Taltal, Chile at 6:08 this morning, 35 kilometers deep. Moving on up, there were 2 in Mexico. The first one was a 4.3 near San Felipe, Usula, Mexico, that happened last night at 11:16 p.m., 75 kilometers deep. And a 4.4 near Tonalá, Mexico at 12:17 this afternoon, 106 kilometers deep. Then, to top it all off, up here in this the Reykjanes Ridge, this is on this plate between the North American plate and the Eurasian plate, right on this red line to the southeast of the southern tip of Greenland. We've had 4 just today, 4 large volcanoes, and they all say 10 kilometers, and I don't believe that. 10 kilometers deep. I just don't believe that. The first one was a 5.2. They're calling it on the Reykjanes Ridge at 9:23 this morning. Then a 5.5 at 10:58. A 5.9 at 11:04, and a 4.5 at 12:13 this afternoon. But these were all bouncing off of each other because these were all coming in this morning. I mean, most of these large ones that I'm showing you were all coming in this morning, and I was just like, oh my God, I can't believe this. Now let's look at Dominican Republic while we're over here. There have been 12 here today. I'll call them off. 2.8 1.5, 2.4, 2.1, 2.8, 2.5, 2.2, 1.8, 1.8, 3.0, 1.7, and 3.0. So those weren't huge, but it's showing movement. Now let's check out Hawaii. We only saw one here yesterday. Now they have 5. Um, 1.7, 2.0 near Hanaunapupu, same place as this 1.7, and the depth is a minus 0.6 kilometers depth. So that means it's up in the mountain or the volcano. It's up in the chamber. 2.1 at 1:24 this afternoon. It was at a minus 1.4 kilometers depth. Same place. And then a 2.0, that's at Kilauea, that came in at 2:20 this afternoon at minus 0.1 kilometers depth. And another one right there, 1.9 at Kilauea, that came in at 4:01 this afternoon at 0 kilometers depth. So you think things aren't ramping up, think again. And I agree with Dutch Sense and others that you need to have an earthquake plan, but the main thing you need in your earthquake plan or any disaster plan is your spiritual preparation, because stuff is happening fast, and you know, it's going to be hard for people who are left here. It's going to be hard, and if you don't have the protection of God and Jesus, and you know, you're just left and you don't have that protection, you know, I feel bad. I feel bad because it's not going to be pretty. The spiritual battle has been going on for a long time, but it's going to be playing out more and more. The lines are being drawn. There's no gray area anymore. It's either one side or the other, and it's like, which side do you want to be on? And what gets me is, you know, these people who are atheist or agnostic or, you know, New Age or something, they will say something is evil or it's satanic, but they won't go the other way and say and acknowledge God and Jesus and what's good. And if they believe in evil and that something is satanic, how can you not believe in God? And how can you not believe in salvation? Because that just doesn't make sense to me. It's a total disconnect. So I don't know. You know, and people who think they're okay, but if you haven't made that commitment and ask for Jesus to come into your heart and ask for his forgiveness and to forgive you of your sins, the ones you know about and the ones you don't know about, and the ones you don't know about bring to your attention so that you can stop doing them and ask for forgiveness. And then you've got to stop doing all that stuff, and you've got to walk the straight and narrow and commit yourself. And unless you do that, you know, I don't know. I'm worried. I'm really worried about a lot of people. And if you think you're okay and, you know, you're doing right, you're doing okay and all this stuff, but there might be a few things that are just a little bit not quite right, not quite honorable, but you think, oh, well, I'll let that go. Well, I'll tell you, everything is being noted in the heavenlies. Every action, every thought, every word, every deed, it's all being noted in the heavenlies. And when it comes time, God will know what you've been doing, and Jesus will know. And you know, a lot of people are not going to be found worthy, and it doesn't matter whether you believe in it or not. This is the reality of things. And I'm just showing you evidence. I'm showing you pictures, I'm showing you evidence, I'm showing you science, but it goes way beyond that. And eventually you have to come, if you think of anything beyond the ego and beyond our small existence here, and that this is all an accident, as you know, if you can think beyond that, eventually it comes around to, you know, who are you? Where'd you come from? What's going to happen to you when you die? And what's going to happen to your soul? So, I just worry a lot for a lot of people. And it's coming. And I think these earthquakes are evidence of it. And when it comes, it's going to be so fast, nobody's going to know what hit them. So you need to learn right now. You need to get that tractor beam to heaven right now, and not be dallying around, and not be waiting. And you need to learn some spiritual warfare. You need to get some discernment going, and get some protection, and get under the wing of God and Jesus, because I would hate to head into this darkness that's coming without that protection and without that discernment. I'm afraid for the people who don't have that. I'm really afraid for them. I can't sleep at night because of it. I worry. I pray all the time. Pray for everyone. So anyway, here we go in Alaska. We're going to start with all the ones that are 2.5 magnitude and higher. We had a 2.8 near False Pass. Here's 3.3 near Kodiak, 3.8 near Kodiak, 2.5 near Anchor Point, 4.3 near Anchor Point, and remember we saw all that sulfur dioxide being released along here earlier this week. And there's a volcano, I think Redoubt is right along. We've got all these volcanoes down here, but Redoubt was the main one here. 3.0 near Whittier. 2.7 near Talkeetna. 3.2 near Talkeetna. 3.0 near Talkeetna. And then right up here in this curve, look at this cluster that's happened. And these are 2.5 magnitude and higher. Now I'm going to jump over to all magnitudes over here and see how many we actually have. We've got 12 in this area. Now this is important because this is right on where this North America plate comes up and curves around. So this is a vulnerable place. So I'm going to call these off a 1.8, 4.2, 2.4, 2.4, 4.7, 3.2, 3.1, 2.4, 2.1, 2.5, 2.5, and 2.1. It's a large amount. Then here's one up here. There's a 2.6 near Haines Junction, Canada. 2.1 near Chitina, Alaska. Okay, I'm going to go back to the 2.5 magnitudes. Okay, I showed those. Talkeetna. Then 2.7 near Kobuk. And 4.3 near Koktovik. So those were the largest ones, and then we've got the smaller ones peppered around those larger ones. And look how quiet Anchorage is. Maybe that's because all these bigger ones are popping off. I don't know. So for Alaska, today we've got 51 on the map. So now I'm going to show you that 4.3 in Alaska, not Alaska, in Canada, that I read you that article on. It did get reported by USGS, and it was a 4.3, 40 kilometers north of Rocky Mountain House, Canada. It came in at 3 o'clock this morning. They're saying 10 kilometers depth, but I don't know. But that's in the foothills there. And that other one that we saw earlier this week was down here near Red Deer. And this is important because here's this Rocky Mountain. Here's the Rocky Mountains that come down, and this is part of this Yellowstone caldera area. That all is. So it's all connected. And so if you see movement up here, it's going to be happening further down too. Then there was a 2.5 near Helena, Oklahoma. Colorado's clear, New Mexico, Arizona, Salt Lake, Utah. I worry when it's that quiet. I do worry. Yellowstone is clear. I definitely do worry. Of course it is Sunday, so a lot of the earthquake makers are not at work, but still we should be seeing something. Here's a 1.2 near Packwood, Washington at 7:33 this morning. Then a 1.3 near Eugene, Oregon at 7:55 this morning. Now let's look at the geysers while we're here. 31, that's a large number. And let's see if any of these are 2.5 or higher. We've got 2 that are 2.5 or higher. We've got a 2.7 at the geysers and a 2.5. So the rest of these are under that. Most of them are 1s and under. Let's come on down this west side. Here's a 2.4 near Vine Hill that happened at 5:39 this morning. Here's a 1.6 near Gilroy, 1.5 near San Juan Bautista, there's a 1.6 near Lamont, here's a 1.2 near Bodfish, here's a 1.9 magnitude quarry blast on Sunday near Boren at 4:34 this afternoon, 0.3 kilometers deep. Couldn't let the earth rest for a day. Couldn't give Mother Earth a break. Then down here is a 2.4 near Holtville. It's right on this red line. This is the Imperial Fault line. This is where the San Andreas Fault becomes the Imperial Fault. It goes further down. So in Southern California we have 34 here today. And see if any of these are 2.5. No, they're all under 2.5 magnitude. So let's see, they're ones and under. Looks like ones and under. The largest I saw was a 1.8. So the little ones count. It shows movement. Now we'll come up this east side. Let's see what's going on in Nevada. Eerily quiet. Here's a little one. Here's a 0.1 near Beatty. 0.3 near Lone Pine. 0.8 near Lone Pine. Here's a 0.9 near Big Pine. We'll just finish up California, then we'll do Nevada. Here's 2 near Smith Valley, Nevada, 0.7 and a 0.4. Coming on up. Here in Northern California, where'd it go? I lost it. Here it is. 0.8 near Greenville. That's by Honey Lake. Oh, Honey Lake's over here. I forget what that lake is. Here's a 0 near Golden Valley. And a 0.5 near Golden Valley. I don't even see where these are. And a 0.2 near Spanish Springs. Okay. Okay, those are over here. These are in the Reno area. So we had 3 over here. Spanish Springs one was up here, and then the Golden Valley ones are down here. So this one looks like it was between here and Pyramid Lake. Then here was a 0 magnitude. It says southwest of Reno. This is I know where this is. Yeah, this is on the way down to Carson City. It's on the east, on the west hand side, the right side when you're going down the highway. There's a beautiful mountain range down there. Okay, we saw that one. Was there any more in California? I don't think so. Now let's look at Fernley. We saw 1 or 2 here yesterday. Now we've got 3 today, a 1.1, 1.2, and a 1.2 in between Fernley and Fallon. What else have we got? Coming on down, got a couple in the Hawthorne area and around Walker Lake. Here's a larger one. Here's a 1.7 near Hawthorne. Got those. I thought I saw a cluster here. Oh, it's down here. Okay. I got that one. The cluster is that I'm interested in is right down here. Look at that. We got 19 here, all near Goldfield. Oh my gosh. Here's a 2.4. Looks like that might be the biggest at 0 kilometers depth. Now they do have a lot of gold mining going on down there, so they might have been doing some mining operations, but still, here, the next largest was a 2.1, and it looks like they all, nope, they started at 12:41 this morning. They went through the morning periodically, and then they're still going. The last one was at 5:10, so they're still going. I don't know if they're mining or not. They could be. They could be drilling. You know, they've got these deep drills that burrow into the mountain to tunneling machines. They could be doing that for all I know. That'd cause earthquakes. I think that's a wrap. Uh-oh, what have we got up here? Are these some new ones? 2.6 near Chitina. I think I got that. And 2.1 near Cape Yakataga. I think that's a new one. That came in at 5:56. That's a new one. This 2.6 at Chitina is a new one. That came in at 6:20. It's 6:32 right now. Here's a new one on Hawaii. 2.1 at 6:14. That looked like it was probably at Kilauea again. So let's see if any large ones have come in. Saw the 2.6. We saw the 2.5. Actually, there are two at Cape Yakataga 3. There were 3 that came in all at once. There was one, 2.5 at 5:26 this afternoon, a 2.5 at 5:21 this afternoon, and a 3.1 at 5:12 this afternoon. And then another one at Cape Yakataga 3.2 at 5:11. So stuff is happening. We just had a new one, a 2.5 near Helena, Oklahoma at 5:11. Oh, I got that one. So I think I got everything. So it's rocking. It's absolutely quaking and shaking. So that's my report for today. I love you guys. So until next time, God bless you. And think about what I talked about. Go in peace. I'll talk to you real soon. Goodbye.